this is Sarah from Fashion Frenzie. If you're new here, I am a reseller on Poshmark Canada, and I basically find some amazing items and sell them on Fashion Frenzie, fashion_frenzie. I'll put it down here. If you want to subscribe to learn more about Poshmark information and guidelines and things like that, I am here to definitely basically share my journey when I've been doing this and give you some tips that may help you along the way going through this, or just if you are more interested about products and items that I have, definitely can check us out at fashion_frenzie on Poshmark Canada. So I want to talk to you guys about returns on items on your Poshmark closet. If you have come across that, this is what you will come across and what you would do, and especially returns outside of the 3-day window. And I did have to deal with that about 2 weeks ago, the first time. And what I did, and before I get into that, I actually want to talk about what is processed, or what are the guidelines through Poshmark in a return. So a buyer has 3 days to go through once they receive the items, they have 3 days to go through the item, make sure that they received what they wanted and everything is fine and there's no flaws or anything like that. And at that point, if there is a return to request, they have 3 days to do that. And they would process it through Poshmark, and Poshmark is basically the one that deals with all the returns. Me as a buyer, I do not process returns or anything. They process it, and what happens was you will receive, as a buyer, a case. I'm not sure if I really like that word, but it is considered a case. Makes it bigger than what it sounds, but it's basically just a return from a buyer. And you would receive the case, you'd see why the buyer is requesting a return, and basically Poshmark will take maybe a day or two to review it and then either approve or not approve their return, and money will be refunded to the buyer, or if it was not approved, then the buyer would have to keep the item and you would keep your fees, your purchase item. So with that, I did come across a situation where there was a return request after the 3-day window. And what happened was, it was basically the customer sent me a message through Poshmark somehow, basically I think through the listing or through this listing that was sold, and sent me a message saying that she wanted to return the item, and the item was great, but it didn't fit her well, and I am sending it, and I'd like to request a refund. Because it's after the 3-day, at first I was like, what am I supposed to do? There's nothing I can do on my end, and I kind of panicked, and I went through FAQs through the Poshmark website to see if there was anything I can do, or people have come across this before and tips to do. And I really didn't find much. So what I did is just basically customer service kicked in a sense, I guess. How would I want to be approached with a situation like that, or to handle? I would want to be in open communication with the buyer. So as I did, I basically messaged her as soon as I saw that message, as quickly as I could, to respond to her and let her know that unfortunately, I'm sorry you are unhappy with your item. However, because of Poshmark's guidelines, 3 days is their guidelines to request a return, and we have passed that, and I think it was like day 6 or 7. I can't 100% pinpoint, but it was after the 3 days for sure. I cannot process the return. It's done through Poshmark, and as you know, some buyers are new maybe on Poshmark and don't realize that as a seller, I don't have the capabilities to request returns and refunds just like that, because it's all done through the Poshmark support team. So sometimes they're unaware of that as well. So I let her know and so that she doesn't end up sending her item and then losing her item, and then as well losing out on her money as well. But after I sent that message to her, I then quickly sent a message to Poshmark support, basically stating the item, the reason, and the buyer's comments, and then my response, and to see if there's any actions I need to take on my end to take care of this situation. And I think it took about a day and a half for them to respond to me, and they basically said that there is nothing that you on your end I have no action to take on my end, and that they will take care of it on their end. So basically that was great. So I did that, and I've had no issues or no response from the buyer after that point, or anything from Poshmark. So from my perspective, everything was handled and taken care of, which was great. So with that, that's kind of the approach I would take if you deal with someone asking a request after the 3-day window. If they do, I would respond to them as quickly as possible. Let them know you have no capabilities of requesting refunds, and it's done through Poshmark, and for them as well to connect with Poshmark if they have an issue, and as well as send a message stating and documenting all that information to Poshmark support to make sure both ends of communication is taken care of, and then you just go ahead and move on. And unfortunately, that's part of reselling. It's part of when you're doing customer service. On the customer service end of things, you would have to deal with certain things like that, which is fine. I've only had I'd say 2 or so, less than a handful for sure, having to deal with something like that. But at first it's a bit daunting, but once you just be professional about it, it's not as bad as it can be, and it won't be a big deal unless you make it a big deal or if the buyer makes it a big deal. But you just have to always approach it with open communication and being professional to make sure that they are aware that if it is a refund after the 3-day window, there is no processing refunds based on your end as a seller. So with that said, just wanted to hop on, just let you guys know that little tidbit that I've come across, and if this could help you, if you've come across it before, I would definitely, definitely want you to make sure you can take those steps to take those steps to take if you have any problems with those returns. So with that, if you want to check me out on Fashion Frenzie on Poshmark Canada, or we as well I have a Instagram on fashion_frenzie_posh, and you can check out some of the things that I have up on my closet. Awesome finds that I definitely go through and make sure that my customers will love for sure. So if you have any questions, leave me a comment below. Make sure to subscribe, turn on that notification ding if you like, just to get notified when I do put up new videos. So I try to put up videos once a week, just giving you just perspective and just information on, the journey that I have gone through and things that I've dealt with to maybe help you if you are wanting to be a Poshmark seller, reseller as well, or if you want to learn more about pieces that I have, and you're more than welcome to check us out. So with that, have a great rest of your day. Take care.